SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast discusses topics which are relevant to the everyday lives of seniors and their caregivers. We are joined by experts who share their knowledge on a variety of issues. SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast offers solutions and resources to create the best quality of life as we age. And now, let's welcome your host, Darlene Mahoney.
Does the idea of searching for senior housing solutions seem overwhelming and you're not even sure where to begin? SeniorLivingGuide.com makes senior housing search, home care, home health, as well as many resources available to you right at your fingertips in one easy-to-navigate website. So visit us today at SeniorLivingGuide.com. And I would like to express our gratitude to the SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast sponsors, Terabella Senior Living, where seniors unlock a richer, more rewarding lifestyle for assisted living and memory care in a warm, welcoming environment. And Live Dry adult incontinence products designed for moderate to severe incontinence issues. Live Dry provides reliable all-day and all-night protection. Quick absorbing, high capacity, and odor control helps you feel more confident when you wear Live Dry. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this podcast. We are joined by Robin Roundtree. She is the Director of Communications and Marketing for the Alzheimer's and Dementia Resource Center and current host of the Informed Aging podcast, which explores health, help, and the hard decisions for older adults. Her commitment to this work is so professional and personal, inspired by her family's experience navigating her mom's 6-year journey with Lewy body dementia. Robin brings firsthand insight and compassion to conversations about dementia, caregiving, and aging. She is dedicated to raising awareness, fostering understanding, and connecting people to the support that they need, because no one should walk the dementia journey alone. You are so right. Mm-hmm. You know, no caregiver and it's got to be group effort.
Yeah, it's a team sport. 100%.
It is a team sport. Oh my gosh, yes, you do have an idea. So
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. So I know one of the things that we talk about dementia and Alzheimer's, we have different episodes that include different types of information. And one that is just usually this little baby bullet point that I think we need to discuss a little bit further because it's so important is driving with dementia.
It's a hard one.
It is a hard one. It's a difficult one to navigate. I think it's important to learn when to take the keys away, how to take the keys away, and the practical solutions.
Right. So that's a whole lot to cover. So
it is a whole lot to cover. So we've always baby touched on it as just this, but never really gotten into the minutia of it. And I think that that's what we want to do today.
Right. So with any form of dementia, you're having brain changes, and you can't really see exactly what those brain changes are, but driving requires a large amount of skills. And that's why your 16-year-old, their brain isn't even fully developed, and it's frightening to put them on the road. So
exactly.
But they eventually get the experience. But it's a visual thing. It's decision-making. It's knowing your spatial surroundings. Am I in my lane? Am I not in my lane? Is that working? Mm-hmm. There's so many things at play. Reaction time, anticipating bad things that could happen or good things that can happen, being aware of all of your surroundings, and possibly listening to the radio or talking on the phone and being distracted by your to-do list. It's a big mental load that we don't think about when we're doing it because we've probably been doing it for decades, right? By the time you're our age, it's just I've been doing this a while. But then if you even take away one of those skills, if it's slightly impaired, then we may have a really bad issue.
Right. And that's a large thing to have out in the public if you're having issues.
Yeah.
It can become something very dangerous.
Yeah, very, very dangerous.
We've seen the accidents of just drivers that are probably not impaired.
Right. And recently in the support group that I host, I had someone come and she told me the story. Her husband was still driving, but just to the familiar places, okay? So she was not with him in the car, but apparently he was driving through their neighborhood. Someone was walking in the middle of the street, didn't move out of the street. So the story that came out is he stopped behind the person and hit the horn very loudly. Some people would have just walked away going, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This person was not a great person. So first they filed charges for stalking. They decided that wasn't going to fly. So they actually had him charged with attempted murder.
Oh, wow.
Yes. They somehow found out about the diagnosis and decided to play it for all it was worth. They did get the charges dismissed, but she said all the legal fees, $12,000.
Wow.
And that's what I can't stop thinking about.
And the toll it must have taken on him just because,
Right.
I mean, he has a certain capability of processing it all.
And the wife is like, that's not him, but I wasn't there.
Right.
I don't know what happened. So there's always somebody out there looking to take advantage, unfortunately.
It's, in this day and age, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I do think you have to think about that, but there's so many things to navigate because I find working with family caregivers that denial is covering up so much. We don't want to admit that our loved one has this horrible, uncurable disease.
Ding, ding, ding. That is so much of it. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've never met a caregiver that like picked up on the first red flag and went, oh, we got a problem here. You just dismiss it because your brain wants everything to be okay. And so you could be moving along in the illness, not realizing the keys should have already come away. So you've got that part of it. You've got the family member not wanting to rid the person of their independence.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Because once that independence for driving a car, it's not like they're going to get better. And at some point, they're going to be able to take those keys back. Even like as people age, you have to pass a driver's test or eye test or whatever to continue to keep those keys. But they don't put an age limit on it as far as I know. I don't think any DMV says, okay, you're 90, you get your keys taken away. So it really is based on the ability to drive safely.
Right.
Yeah.
Which every 6 months, it could be going down a little bit. And a lot of people I have found with a dementia-related diagnosis don't realize that there's something wrong. So you're telling a person who doesn't think anything's wrong with them that I think there's something wrong and you need to stop driving. That couldn't cause any problems at all, could it?
Right.
Yeah. So it's a big thing to talk about. In the best case scenario, you would have discussed this before anything happened, right? We as Americans don't like talking about death and dying and getting old. We're a very youth-centric society. But I've often joked, I can't wait until I can't drive anymore because I really don't enjoy the process of driving. I don't think I'm a great driver to begin with. So the first time somebody says, give up your keys, I would think, oh, sure. But then I'm like, but I love deciding where I'm going when I do my Sunday errands. I can switch it up. I can do this. I can change my mind and go get a little refreshing cocktail, and watch the football game. I'm in charge. But if I'm not behind the wheel anymore. So in a perfect world, you talk about if you ever had to give up the keys, what would that look like for you? Have that discussion. And would that mean I want to go to independent living? Would that mean I have to stay home and financially figure out how to maybe just pay, an Uber or a Lyft, go grandparent, whatever service you have? Am I relying on neighbors? I mean, I think it's just as an important conversation as, am I going to age at home, age in place, or am I going to move to a place that will take care of me and I don't have to worry about so many things?
Right. So you're talking about having that conversation with someone that's just maybe aging and may not have any any cognitive issues. It's just having that. It's kind of like having the conversation when you get older and you can't live independently. What do you want? So you make those decisions before you need it. I think is always super smart.
Yeah. Do we do it? No.
No. Oh, no. And
So,
especially this conversation. This conversation is very specific, and it's one that implies that it's a possibility. And as we know, at least for me, the thought of getting and being diagnosed with any kind of dementias, Alzheimer's, anything like that is very, very scary.
yeah.
And you don't want to think that it can happen to that person, but
Right.
it's not going to happen to me, you know?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, you were just talking about like the younger generation and they're just doing their thing. You know, my mom always said death and taxes, they're inevitable.
Yeah.
Well, she was half right. I don't know about the taxes, but
Right. I don't know. If you got a good attorney, maybe not.
maybe not. Yeah. So,
But it is one of those conversations we should have, but often we don't. So if you didn't, what do you do?
right.
I think before you start addressing the issue, you need to come up with solutions. Instead of just, we're taking your keys away and then figuring out, you need to come with a few ideas. Research, bus routes. Where I live, we have a new electric vehicles that are a little more lenient than a bus schedule. People are still getting used to it, but it's a reduced cost. It's cheaper than Lyft. So I know that's available. If
I do
that
have
happened to
concerns
me.
about someone with cognitive issues taking a bus.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, are they going to get off? They're a vulnerable human in our society on a bus full of people that are maybe not vulnerable, clearly, unless it's specifically senior related. And it could become an issue. And then what if they get off at the wrong stop? And then they don't know how to work their phone. I just have I do the worst case scenario. I go down the rabbit hole of darkness.
Yeah.
So that's my concern on the bus part. As a solution, unless it's very early dementia and you still have those abilities. But I do think that it's concerning that would be like any kind of long-term solution.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like a Lyft or a Uber app, do they even screen their drivers? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I do think that there's definitely, and I know we've worked with them in the past, that are specifically screened for seniors.
Nice.
And they just provide senior services and transportation and delivery, medication delivery, grocery delivery, different things like that. And I am assuming that those are screened with a little bit more scrutiny than, your Lyft driver. So, yeah.
So if we aren't paying for somebody, then you have to rely on family and friends. I've often seen the older group of women. Shirley's the only one who can drive after dark. So we can't.
That will not be me. I will not be Shirley.
So is everybody in the friend group okay to drive?
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah.
We rarely live in walkable communities
No.
where the person is a block away from the grocery store.
Right.
So I don't think our country is really built for aging people who are poor drivers.
Exactly. I mean, the transportation for a specific senior is probably like actually getting a car is probably your best bet. But I know that when I took my dad's car keys away, which is just a whole story in itself, I got him before we moved him into more of a memory care, assisted living type of environment when he was still aging in place in that transition. I had home care come. So home care can provide those transportation. They can do some of those as well. So that was kind of our best workaround because honestly, all the man wanted to do was go to Publix and go to breakfast. Other than that, he didn't care. He had some doctor's appointments that he needed to go to and things like that. But at the end, and he didn't even want to go to those. But, the places that he wanted to go daily, because he still every day wanted to go get breakfast at Kiki's or chicken at Popeyes, I don't know, all the terrible things that he ate, which he probably shouldn't have been eating, but just, at that point, just let him have it.
Right.
Was really all he was interested in.
Yeah. And if that's his quality of life, you don't want to take it away. So yeah, home care is one answer.
Yeah.
We all know that's not free. So,
no.
Right.
But it can be affordable if you do a budget for it, and then maybe do just a couple hours a week, or a couple days a week at a couple hours, something of that nature.
Right.
Full time for sure, but it's something you can consider. But I'm not going to advocate for any specific home care, because I think you have to really, really screen home care companies.
Yeah.
And then those that are providing service to your loved one, I really advocate for making sure you meet them, you talk to them, and they're the ones consistently going into the home if you're not there, versus, a revolving door of caregivers.
Right. And I spent 4 years working in home care, and I know from a staffing perspective, that's what everyone wants. And it's so hard to deliver that.
It is.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of compromise when it would come to my parents. So
good for you.
You keep moving and figure it out.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And that's what you have to do. But it is difficult. So friends and neighbors, we talked about that, possibly home care, mass transportation, probably not great. If they move in with you, that's a whole lot of other things to discuss. But that's why you kind of have to have a plan coming in. Instead of taking away your independence, I think we have an issue here, and these, I think, would be some possible solutions.
Yeah. I do have the concern that once they get to the point where they really should not be driving, they probably shouldn't be living alone either. So
Correct.
Not without, unplugging the stove. And even then, that to me is just one little solution, but you don't want them burning down the house or leaving the house to go get the mail and get lost. Because if they're having issues driving and getting lost in a car, then they may have an issue just, going for a walk. And then you've got, what do they call it? The silver alert out there for a walking person. So there's always that concern as well. So I think you really need to, when you get to that point, find solutions outside of just the driving.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And the battle is always the adult child wants to wrap their person in bubble wrap and keep them safe from everything.
Right.
But you still have a human being who deserves dignity.
Yeah.
And wants to have their own voice, and finding that compromise. Yeah. It takes a lot of discussions, but we all know family discussions don't always go well.
If you or someone you care for is dealing with moderate to heavy incontinence, you've experienced products that leak, and that is never acceptable. Live Dry products combine high capacity with fast absorption and a secure fit to help eliminate leaks and improve comfort, even during extended wear. With Live Dry, it's protection you can trust.
Thousands of positive reviews on Amazon can't be wrong. Search LIVDRY on Amazon. Live Dry products are available at Amazon.com and Walmart.com.
At Terra Bella Senior Living, seniors unlock a richer, more rewarding lifestyle for assisted living and memory care, offering daily activities, homestyle dining, and 24-hour care in a warm, welcoming environment. Tour today to see the comfort and care we offer at Terra Bella.
So I wanted to see if you could give our listeners that are caregivers or have family members that they have concerns with, I can share how I approached it. But I would love to hear different, because I didn't know how to do it. And mine kind of fell in my lap for me, because it was my dad I knew we were getting ready to move him. We knew he had some issues. He was driving, and I was seeing where he was pulling up Google Maps, and then he got to where he couldn't even do that anymore on the computer. He forgot how to navigate the computer because he couldn't get to places he goes to all the time. And it's the craziest thing, because I'm like, I appreciate the fact that he can print this out and he can find his way, because I don't know if that would work for me, because we're so GPS oriented that now you're reading a paper and trying to remember where the streets are. I don't know. But I know one time he said to me, and this was very early on, and this was in my denial phase. He said to me, have you ever been like out driving and you're sitting at a stoplight and you're not that far away and it's someplace you should remember and you think to yourself, I don't know where I am or what to do. And I was like, maybe. I mean, maybe you're like going, oh, what was I doing? Or, oh, we're still going to the store. So I discounted it because I did not want to give any credence that this was an issue or a problem. But clearly that was, I think, him reaching out a little bit to say, hey, I think I'm having a problem. And I didn't give it to him. And I do, have guilt about that. But once he was at that point where he should not be driving, and this was like a Wednesday, that weekend, we were planning on going over there and having the conversation with him and telling him we were going to take the keys. And I knew he was going to have a fit. I just knew he was going to have a fit because he was having a few little outbursts that were really not part of his normal personality. So I was kind of seeing a little bit of that. So I was like, oh, it's going to be horrible to take his keys away from him. Well, he called me on a Wednesday and I'm about an hour away. He calls me and he says, I was working with this lady and we had a business deal. And she came by today and told me that I owed her money. And because I didn't have the money, she took my car as payment. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, we need to make sure he has all the assets that he can to pay for the care he was going to need. And that car was a very big asset. And some of the things that we were going to use to put towards his extended care. And I panicked. My friend was not that far. I told her, I said, you got to go check on my dad. His car was stolen. I called the Oviedo, because it was in Florida, police department, and said my dad's car had been stolen. And I'm literally thinking, maybe, just maybe, they took it away from him because they caught on to his, the jig was up, but not so much. So I get in the car and I'm flying over there. And I get there and the police called me on the way and they said, well, your dad's car is here. He doesn't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, trust me, it is not me. And they said, we get that. Your dad should not be driving. I said, I get that. I said that we were going to kibosh that over the weekend. But clearly we're kiboshing it today. Yes. And when I got over there, the police had pretty much already gone. And I sat down with my dad. I said, the police said you can't drive anymore.
There you go.
And that was the ticket.
Yes.
Because he's a rule follower. The police say I can't drive. I cannot drive. But I also think there was some relief that came over him because he knew he should not be driving.
Yeah. And if you know your person, that's the big secret to this conversation. If they're a rule follower, then you want the doctor or a police officer, or if they're a veteran, someone higher in rank, to say this is the rule and you can't do it anymore.
It takes the heat off you as the person that is, the caregiver. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Somebody else has to be the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's not, you did this because you are going to do all these other bad things. So just don't add it to your pile.
I know.
You could, if it's a generous person, you can say, there's maybe a young relative, your niece, your granddaughter is looking for a car. What do you think? You're not using it that much, about giving it to her. So that may work. You just have to know your person. If they are very worried about, let's say they complain about attorneys. Dad, your doctor says there might be something wrong. You could really up your risk of being sued if you keep driving.
Oh yeah, that's a big one, I do believe. Yeah.
So you have to know their pain points and what you think may work. But I promise you, there is no perfect conversation that will make this easy. And probably approach it a little bit at a time. Talk about, I heard my neighbor had to give up her car. What are your thoughts? What would happen if that would happen to you? So, and then, ice cream, throw that in.
So I do want to ask you this question. If they are being argumentative and don't want to give in to the taking of the keys, do you approach with them and say, Dad, Mom, when you're driving, do you feel like you're safe and the people, I mean, do you ever get a little scared? I mean, you kind of do, right? And do you play on those emotions? Do you kind of get them to kind of admit that they shouldn't be driving? Do you think that that's a thing?
Yes, I would try that if you think that they're aware. Also, another bad guy you can use is to have a third party give them a driving test. So you'll have to ask around to find that. But there is a woman locally who has a car with a brake on her side as well.
Okay.
So, and she says, she'll go around the first hour. They're very concentrated and trying to do, and then after an hour, they relax and she sees the real driver. So instead of you saying as a relative, I don't think you're a good driver, say, I've got my concerns, but I could be wrong. Can we go to somebody else and see if I'm crazy or not?
Yeah.
So.
Because you can't go to the DMV and say, hey, my dad has dementia. I'm fairly certain. Can you suspend his driver's license? Because that's I could be completely wrong, but I think you have to literally go to court and have
you can fill out a form
with
FHP, I believe it is, and we will find the link and put it in the show notes.
Okay.
That you can report someone.
Okay.
I have heard it goes a lot faster if it is like a doctor who puts it in.
Okay.
But then they have to investigate. So it may take a while before that happens. So, and we don't really love that. If we find out it's been reported and you still let them drive, but there are ways, and a doctor can also make the call. So I don't think it has to be a full-on court case.
Okay.
But you can put a heads up and also call your local department.
Yeah.
Your police department or sheriff department and say, what do you advise?
Because I almost wonder they could maybe come out and have a conversation and then kind of, Mr. So-and-so, maybe you shouldn't be driving. Maybe you should listen to your daughter. Yeah. My dad, I had an issue. This is a totally off topic, but my dad had a conceal and carry.
Oh, wow.
And he was carrying the gun like in the car. And he would have like little paranoid kind of things. And I was like, this has got to go. This is dangerous. I tried to get the conceal and carry. I called them for them to cancel it and let him know he's not allowed to do that anymore. They wouldn't do it because it was like a 10-year conceal and carry. So I just stole his gun. So
there you go.
He never asked about it. That's the kicker. He's probably like, I don't know what happened to that.
Right.
But I'm like, he does not need a gun.
Yeah. So if logic isn't working, they don't want to donate, they don't want to give it up, nobody's stopping him, then you think about hiding the keys, taking the car away. Some people will disconnect things so the car won't go, so the car is still there.
That's a pro tip.
Yes. I don't know how to do it. I would have to ask.
Honestly, I think you just take the battery out.
Right?
Yeah.
Take the battery out. Or we start with lies of love, which everyone has their opinion on. I think they have their time and their place. And you take it and go, the car is in the shop. And, everybody in the shop took vacation at the same time. It's been, a while. But let me take you somewhere. So here's the main thing is that this person stops driving.
Right.
And it may take 4 different avenues to get to that destination. But you've got to remember it's not just about your person being happy with the outcome.
Right.
It's the safety of all of us on the roads.
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned, that is a 500-pound weapon if it's not being driven correctly. It's almost, I want to almost say it's almost probably similar to driving while intoxicated.
Right. I think it would depend on the attorney. Mm-hmm. And if they found out you have a lot of assets, they're going to argue.
Sure.
If you're the power of attorney, I don't know how that works. And I don't
either.
Want to make that clear. Yeah, I'm not an attorney and I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know they're always looking for somebody to sue.
Right. No, 100%. And it's for me, even like the safety of the home. So If you know he has issues and leaves the stove on often and you come over, Dad, the stove is on, and you did not disconnect it and that house burns down and the house next door burns down. And I just feel like there's so much liability there on that person caring for someone that can't necessarily care properly for themselves. So, and, even like, people that are having some issues that are still living alone, that are taking care of pets and animals. Those pets and animals may be being overfed or underfed. They may be getting taken out, or they may not be getting taken out. And sometimes those are captain obvious when you walk into the house.
Right.
So it is stuff like that. I think you have to look at, and that's completely different than the driving, but also, if they're taking care of pets and you don't want to take that away from them, because that's probably that very well may be their only, like, I know I work at home with my dog, and she and I have more conversations than I do with a human during the day for the most part. So it's not going to be any different for them. So that's hard as well. But you want to also keep the safety of those animals in mind as well. So yeah.
These are all tough decisions, tough conversations. There's nothing easy about dealing with dementia.
Yeah.
So, on one hand, I'm saying don't beat yourself up too much, but on the other hand, I would prefer no one with dementia be driving on the roads, because bad things happen. And we want people to be safe, and we don't want people to be sued when you've got 1,000 other things on your plate to worry about.
No, but I will say this, just from talking to folks who've had their parent diagnosed, one of the first signs that they really did know something's going on is that call. I have a girlfriend whose mom, she thought she was having a little bit of issues, but not really. She was just, her dad had just been entered into skilled, and they really weren't that old, and she thought she was going to be fine. She just thought she was like having confusion from being alone and the different things, but she had OnStar, and she called her from OnStar and couldn't figure out how to get home. And my girlfriend's like, Mom, you're like 2 blocks from the house. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on. How can you? And she thought maybe there was a roadblock or something like that, but she couldn't understand it. So she called the police, and the police came out there, and they called my girlfriend back and said, your mom should not be driving. She does not have a clue where she is. And she literally is a half a mile from a house that you were born and raised in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my denial stage, we didn't have a big airport in our town, but she had driven to pick people up and go on trips 50 times at least to the big city. It was a 2-hour trip, and she calls and says, it took me 6 hours to get home because I couldn't figure it out.
Oh my gosh.
But that was the first red flag.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, we're getting you a GPS. This was quite some time ago when we didn't have it on our phones.
You had a Garmin.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And so she got mad at me, but then she called me back and said, no, I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, problem solved.
Yes.
But I look back and I'm like, that was my first red flag that I ignored for 3 more years.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing that my dad said to me was way before I thought he had dementia. I just didn't clue into it. Now, she clued into it when, she was so lost she could not get home, even with OnStar, which I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. But So it really can be like the first big red flag, especially if you're in some form of denial on the little things that you're noticing, or you're not around that person. So you don't see the little things because you're not seeing them, but like on the weekends or maybe catching dinner or something like that.
Yeah. So I would advise, if you think your parent is fine, do a walk around of the car every time you visit, because we may start to see little scratches, little dings. There is a study where they're seeing if the driving is the first sign of mild cognitive impairment. Still a study, but I thought, well, yeah, that's interesting. Because it takes so much brain activity to drive, if you start having little accidents here and there, and they'll, probably blame it on somebody else, which we all do. But that may be one of the little signs that you can start to look for.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I think is not a horrible idea, and one of my red flags that it was time for the keys to go, is I followed my dad. We were going somewhere. And I said, well, I'll just follow you. And he drove in the right-hand lane like 20 miles an hour down, I think it was a Loma or something like that. And people were honking. I'm like going, oh, this is so not good. And I'm driving behind him to make sure that nothing, first of all, I'm scared somebody in road rage is going to come after him. So I'm literally going, oh my gosh, Dad, what are you doing? So, and he told me, he said, well, I was just driving slow so you could keep up. Well, I was practically on top of you. So I think we're good. But
right. So, we all make mistakes. We should have taken it a long way, a long time before, but, please listen to our words of advice, and take those keys away or get rid of the car when you can. And it's not easy and you may feel awful, but the rest of us thank you.
Yes. At one point I had a manager who said, bad news never ages well. And I think about that because you will avoid it.
Yeah.
Avoiding it's not going to make it any better. In fact, it's probably going to get worse. So, yeah. And
not doing anything is the path that you've chosen. So you have chosen to do something, and that's avoiding it.
Right.
So that's not the best way to go.
It's not. Oh my gosh. Well, is there anything that we missed in our conversation on driving with dementia today?
I just think this is one of those things where somebody says, is there anything I can do? You find your researcher and say, look into what I should do with this situation. Can you call the police department? Can you call the city and see if there's a program out there that can help us? Because there is, but the caregiver with all the responsibility probably doesn't have the time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we have people listening from every state and some different places. So I think that those resources vary by locations as well.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, oh my gracious. Well, it was so great talking to you today, Robin. I truly enjoyed it. And hopefully our listeners got some good tips and tricks for having the conversation, taking the keys away, keeping your loved one safe, and then also those on the street. So safety for everyone. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the different apps. Like, comment, and share, and definitely subscribe. Thanks for listening.